Matt Berner, you're taking a look at the Stronach 5-4 Friday, March the 8th. It's 12% takeout, $1 base bet. This is a 5-race pick 5, spanning the Stronach family of racetracks. We kick things off. 9th race out at Laurel Park, $5,000 beaten claimers going a one-turn mile. As usual with these type of videos, I'm not going to give you an actual ticket. I'm going to give you a couple horses to consider whether you agree or not. That's up to you as the handicapper and the wagerer. I think the 1 and the 3 are the main plays in here. The 1 Southeast coming off of a bit of a lengthy layoff here. Haven't seen this one in about 2 months. Comes in from New York, drops in class from the non-3 condition up at Aqueduct. $14,000 claimers now into this beaten 5,000 level. Highest last out buyer with a 66. I think this horse makes plenty of sense. Beat a decent field, relatively speaking. And the 3 best surprise goes out for Scott Lake. That most recent run, the field itself has not come back strong, but the 4th place finisher admittedly came back and earned a 70 buyer. I think those are the 2 horses that are going to take some beating. But to be honest, there is no speed whatsoever signed on in this race. And if you're looking for speed, perhaps it is the 6, In Him With Him. To me, I look at this horse and say, don't really trust him. 2 for 16 lifetime, 5 times a runner-up, including the most recent run. But on a positive side, the horse that defeated him that day came back and repeated in his next start with a 65 buyer. I don't particularly trust the 6, but if you're looking for the speed of the speed, I think that's where you need to go. Move on to the second leg of this sequence. We go down to Gulfstream Park for their 10th and 11th races. Those are going to be legs 2 and 3. Race number 10, the second leg, maiden $20,000 claiming race, 1 mile and an 1/8 on the grass. I think the middle portion of the field is where you want to look, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think the 4, 5, and 6 are the more likely of the win contenders. The 4, Just Kidding You, goes out from Mike Maker. Jose Ortiz got them out. Don't love the field that this one exits, but the 5th place finisher, a next out winner with a 66 buyer. The 5, Go Poke the Bear. Really don't love this one, although I think you can look at it and say highest last out buyer, highest last out raw time form rating. Both of those came first time with blinkers, but the reason I don't love this horse is because that was on the drop for Pletcher, going from maiden special into maiden claiming. Now we go from maiden 35 to maiden 20. Maybe that's going to make all the difference, but at a short number, maybe this would be more of a B for me. The 6, Fine Spirit, I'm very intrigued with for Bill Mott. First time dropping in class from the state bred maiden special ranks down to the maiden 20. Blinkers go on for the first time. Irad takes them out, has had issues getting out of the gate in each of the first 2 lifetime starts. Certainly something that needs to be considered, but from a number standpoint, this horse makes sense. And the number 3 horse, this one goes out for Lily Kurtenitz. I think this is an interesting spot anyway for Noki by the Sea. You look at the most recent run, that was first time blinker, so very similar angle to the Pletcher horse. Numbers-wise, really not that much different. The dangerous piece here is, and I've brought it up time and time again, time form and buyer, occasionally the numbers match up, sometimes they don't. If you believe the time form numbers, this horse is just on the slow side. That 71 earned most recently the raw number. That's simply not fast enough, but does have a little bit of tactical speed. So those are 4 that I'd consider in the 10th at Gulfstream. The 3rd leg of the sequence, the nightcap down at Gulfstream Park, 1 mile on the grass. These are 9 winners of 3 lifetime $16,000 claimers. 5, 10, and 12 I'm interested in. Backups potentially, the 1 and the 11. The 1, Affluential, I get the reasons for this horse, some positives. Nearly got up in time last time, dropping in here at the non-3 level. I just don't think that field has come back very good, and at the end of the day, 2 for 17 lifetime, 6 times a minor award winner, more of a nibbler in my opinion than anything else. The number 5 horse is one that I'm certainly interested in. That's Too Stormy for Ron Spatz. This is a horse 2 and 3 starts back. I think either of those races makes this horse a legitimate player in here. I'm drawing a line through the September 21st race that preceded a long layoff. Now perhaps this one's going to need a race off the bench before we see his best, but I do think this one is definitely interesting with some tactical ability. Now we go toward the outside runners. The 10, Tide of the Desert. I would use this one as a main. I can understand anyone that wants to use this horse underneath, but I think that from a numbers standpoint, from a time form standpoint, this horse is actually in with a puncher's chance. Each of those 94s, the raw numbers earned in each of the past 2, those are both solid. And the horse that defeated Tide of the Desert in the most recent run came back and earned a 74 buyer in his next start. So I do think that Tide of the Desert's a little bit sneaky in here at what should be a very square price. The 11 Slot Receiver is another one of those that I would use more as a backup. He and Influential, they both come out of that, or Affluential, excuse me, come out of that same race. Slot Receiver's only victory to date has come in gate-to-wire fashion, but does have a little bit of versatility you would hope at this level. We'll find out. This is first off the claim for Marat Sankal. The other horse that I'm interested in, and really this is the key to this race and arguably the sequence, the number 12, Marshall Eddy. This outside post is an absolute bear. There's no bargain whatsoever. Short run into the first turn. Haven't seen this horse since September of 2017. Horse has been gone for almost a year and a half now, or almost pretty darn close to a full year and a half. if the horse has any ability left whatsoever, far and away the most likely winner at this level. You look at the buyers, you look at the time form ratings, this horse makes plenty of sense. But off of such a long layoff with that outside draw, probably going to take some money in here. I just don't know that you want to be all in on this horse. I would certainly be using, I think, as a main threat, but this is sort of that differentiating point in this sequence, in my opinion. I think some people are going to be very, very intrigued by this one and put most of their eggs in this one's basket. Others, a little bit on the sort of trepidatious side. We'll wait and see what we get from Marshall-Eddy here in the nightcap at Gulfstream on Friday. Let's move on to the West Coast. We're going to take a look at 2 races from Golden Gate. They are going to be the 4th and 5th legs of this sequence. They are the 5th and 6th races of the day out at Golden Gate. Excuse me, number 5, the 5th race anyway. It's a non-winners of 1 other than the 2 and the 4 for me. And the reason I'm going to go with the 2 and the 4. The 2 is Tigtog. The 4 is Golden Iris. They're fresh faces. Now, I know there's a number of horses that come out of that N1X race on February the 15th, including Rennie's Lady, including Shari, including Wish You Were Mine. To me, it feels very much like it's either going to be a horse coming from that race or it's going to be a fresh face. I'm always going to lean more toward the fresh face, given I thought that was a bit of a blanket among those top 3 finishers. I kind of look at it and say, you know what, Tigtog, 0 for 2 on Synth, I get it, but I think the horses that this one was facing down in Southern California are comparable, if not better, and I think going up north is going to be a beneficial thing for this horse. From a number standpoint, fits. I'm going to use a little bit of Tigtog. I'm also going to use the 4, the entire fresh face in here from Manuel Badia. This is Golden Iris, first time Lasix. Badia's barn does very well with these types coming over here. You take a look at those raw numbers first with the trainer, about a 23% win rate and a positive ROI. I'm going to go kind of against the grain. It's either, in my opinion anyway, you like that allowance race or you want the fresh faces. Give me the fresh faces. And that brings us to the payoff leg of the Stronach 5 on Friday, March the 8th. Race number 6 out of Golden Gate Fields. Mile and 16th, optional claimer, N1X. I think the inside 3 horses are the ones that I'm most interested in. I think a lot of people will look at the number 2, the Creep. Highest last out buyer in the field. His 2 best races from a number standpoint very clearly have come on synthetic surfaces and now goes out for Jonathan Wong. I think this one is a very likely win contender. I don't know how much value there's going to be from the pick sequence, but I do think you should at least consider using defensively, even if you don't love this horse. The horse down on the inside, I think Our Silver Oak is a little bit interesting. Those 3 races are basically in the middle of his career. I think they're all relatively solid. I'm not totally sold on the distance. You see that most recent run on dirt, started losing a little bit of ground late, and I know it's a different surface, so it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, but there is a part of me that wonders if this one's going to be a bit better, going a bit shorter. And then as far as the 3 horses concerned, Data Hawk, this would be the one that I would probably be most interested in. You go to the run 3 starts back. I know that was against Maidens, but I really did like that late kick. Did have a good pace to run at that day. I don't want to hold that El Camino Real Derby against him. Probably in too tough. From a number standpoint, certainly needs to improve, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at what should be a square number in this race. I think this is an interesting sequence. Again, really kind of that nightcap at Gulfstream. That could be the sort of linchpin of the entire sequence. What do you do with that long layoff horse on the outside? You're going to go all in on him, or do you want to spread a little bit deeper? And accordingly, you're probably going to need a little bit of coverage elsewhere. It's a 12% takeout, $1 base bet. The Stronach 5 for Friday, March the 8th. Things are going to kick off with the 9th race out at Laurel Park. Their nightcap scheduled post time is 5 o'clock Eastern. Good luck.